and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Thomas Huang, and I'm from IB G3 Class 1 Xuanlin Country Garden School. I was actually the head organizer of last year's TEDx event. So I felt very lucky and proud to be on this stage for the second time, but with a different role as a speaker. Why don't we start today with a kind of cliche, but simple question. Is education all about a good grade? Well, to be honest, that's what I believed for a long time. Perfect grades, top universities, esteemed jobs. That was the path everyone around me seemed to be chasing. Education, in my eyes, lived inside classrooms, test papers, and transcripts. But everything changed on one evening in October last year. I watched a video uploaded by Xuanlin, a famous content creator with millions of followers on Bilibili. The video showed a small soccer team from Xuanlin Primary School, deep in the desert of Hetian, Xinjiang. Despite training on fields of sands and debris, these kids had somehow made it to the second place in the national tournament. Touched and curious, I left a comment. Well, I'm a high school student from Guangdong, and I would like to meet these incredible kids, helping any way I can. The comment got over 800 likes in a few days, and soon enough, I found myself connected to Coach Tian, the heart and soul behind the team. He invited me to meet with the kids, so I said, fantastic, why not? And it was right before our school's China Week. So I gathered a bunch of my classmates, and traveling over 2,000 kilometers, we went to Hetian, Xinjiang in November 2024. During the days in Hetian, I met the loveliest and the kindest kids I've ever seen in my life. However, these kids are also those whose dreams perhaps stopped at the village road. For them, the way out wasn't clear until they stepped onto the soccer field, and that's when something changed. They ran harder, they laughed louder, and started to believe that they could go somewhere, even if it began with just a ball on the dusty dirt field. One kid told me, I don't play just to win. I play because I want my mom to see that I've got a chance. Ladies and gentlemen, is this education? There were no tests, no rankings, but there was hope and there was growth. Are grades the only thing that matters? No, because education has never been just about getting good grades. It's about a way into confidence, a way into possibility, a way to believing I can. Therefore, I decided to do something to help. I founded a nonprofit called the Tiger Project. And I posted my idea on social media through a video. It turned out that there are a lot of like-minded high school students who also care about China's soccer development out there in the society. And soon enough, our team started to include team members from the following cities: 佛山、广州、深圳、贵阳、成都、苏州、常熟、上海、武汉、北京. And even from abroad: United States, Singapore, UK, and Bosnia. For those who don't know this country, it's a small little country in the southeast part of Europe. To meet the financial need, we reached out to one of the biggest companies in the region that sells rose jam or rose-related products. I put a business plan on the table, seeking for a long-term financial support for the team. Our team even designed a new package design for their products. Besides, we also reached out to several charities in the country, and at the end of the day, we managed to secure a 200,000 RMB donation for the construction of a new soccer field. Well, during the process, I learned a profound lesson. Education isn't about classrooms and tests. It could happen on a dusty desert field and in the beating heart of children chasing shared dream. However, this is not the only topic I'm here to tell you today. Instead, I want to talk about something even deeper, about opportunity, about inequality, about how dreams stop at the village road. You may have wondered, why could these kids win the second place in the national tournaments despite their harsh conditions? To find out the answer, I studied the resource gaps between Hetian and Guangzhou. Digging into academic essays, I realized the traditional Gaokao path isn't really working there. It's pretty challenging for the Xinjiang kids due to the barrier of language and other factors. Instead, soccer actually provides an alternative pathway for Xinjiang kids to achieve upward social mobility. And this path is becoming more and more promising. However, no one has ever studied about this topic. So I wrote an essay comparing the two social paths and trying to find out how Xinjiang kids could accumulate social capital through the soccer path. In other words, soccer isn't just a sport for them. It's a way out of the villages, a path to change their lives. One day, Coach Tian turned to me and said, without soccer, these kids will probably never leave Hetian. Staying here means giving up their dreams. At that moment, I realized I had to do more. Therefore, I reached out to several clubs, professional soccer clubs in the country, and at the end of the day, a club in Guangzhou offered them 7 trial spots, but only 7. Coach Tian and I were sitting in a small office, facing a list of more than 50 names. Who could we pick? Because we were not just facing a list of code names. Behind each name lies a family's hope, and every check mark could change a kid's life. He started the first 3 with confidence. Yibo, Mamatimi, Basel. Then he hesitated. The pencil hovered, erased, rewrote, and erased again. 40 minutes passed. Outside the window, dozens of kids watched, pretending not to care. Others forced a smile. Some looked down at their shoes. At the end, he made his final decision. He handed me a piece of paper, creased, smudged, crossed out, and rewritten so many times, it looked like a battlefield. A few weeks later, I was standing on the Guangzhou's train station, waiting for the 7 to arrive. After traveling over 2,000 kilometers, I thought they would be exhausted. But the moment we met, they asked, "Coach, when can we go to the soccer field? We want to practice." We rushed through lunch, and I suggest they have a rest or take some time to enjoy the city. They shook their heads, smiling. "We want to be ready," they said. On the last day of the trial, we were walking back to the hotel. I put my arm around the kid's shoulder. He leaned to me and whispered, "Before, my parents always told me that soccer wouldn't take me nowhere. But now, maybe I believe it can." He whispered, he grinned and continued to say, "If I become a star one day, half of my salary goes to my parents, 20% to Coach Tian, 20% to you, and 10% for himself." I laughed out loud, but inside, something shifted. Soccer isn't just a sport for them. And it made me to think about my own journey. As a child, soccer was just a sport. It's just one of my hobbies. But in middle school, when I experienced huge changes and challenges in my life, soccer became a shelter, the place where I felt safe. Moving on, soccer became a bridge to build friendships, confidence, and a like-minded future and a shared future with like-minded peers. And after this journey, soccer became my purpose. The reason why I wake up every day in the morning. Not just for me to evolve, but also for others to evolve. And that's why I plan to open a soccer academy when I grow up. To keep building bridges, to keep creating chances, and to keep fostering evolution. Education isn't just about classrooms and tests. It's about believing. Believing that a boy on a dusty desert field and a young adult in a crowded city both have the right to dream. And that's why today, I'm not just here to talk about education beyond classrooms and tests, not just about inequality and barriers. I'm here to talk about evolution. The evolution that soccer gave to those kids and also to me. And perhaps it's just on us to keep that ball rolling. Thank you very much.